Okay, for cloth, we're going to try to keep it pretty simple. I have a few references I put on the side there, and I'm kind of just sketching out a sort of hanging fabric here. Trying to get a nice little shape of just, cloth being draped. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to fill in just a flat color that I could use as a mask to paint within. Find a color I like, slap it down. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to find like the light side of it. Like what parts of it do I want to be lit? And I think here in general I'm just going for a standard like kind of top down generic lighting scheme. I lock the transparency of the layer just like the other textures that we did, just to make sure I only paint inside the lines. This lets me kind of carry my strokes outside um, without having them kind of mess up the look. So yeah, the first thing we're doing is establishing a rough lighting scheme. You'll see me work from like dark to light, which is kind of nice. Um, Cloth's pretty straightforward, so we want to focus on keeping the lit areas pretty dim in value, the difference between the dark and light areas. It can go brighter than this, but it depends a lot on what you want the local color of the material to be. But it's never going to get such a strong highlight as something like metal or any kind of polished surface, unless it's like a fabric like satin or silk. As I mentioned earlier, you could see I'm building up the values from the dark. I find it's often a really efficient and pretty fun way to work since you're kind of pulling the shapes out of the darkness and bringing them forward and creating your form in real time. So I'm brightening up the cloth a little more and I'm softening some of the edges. I leave the folds themselves pretty strong, but you could definitely soften it up to create less of a crease depending on how you want your surface to read. But in this case, we're going for some pretty hard folds. Lightening a little of the darkness there so it's not too dark. I still want the creases there, but I don't want them as dark as I had them initially. Now you could certainly take it a lot further than this, polishing the textures and the light, but this should give you a good idea of how to get started painting and rendering cloth.